Mr. Neguse.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Chairman Nadler. Thank you, Chairwoman Bass, members of the committee, and my fellow members of the Congressional Black Caucus for your leadership on this issue. I want to express my deepest condolences to you, Mr. Floyd, and to Ms. Underwood Jacobs as well. I know all of us will continue to keep you and your families in our prayers. What happened to your brother, Mr. Floyd, what happened to Breonna Taylor is truly an outrage. And I pray that together we can meet the moment and we can honor their memories by passing the Justice in Policing Act. And not just honor their memories, but the memories of so many others across the country. In 2016, here in Colorado, Michael Marshall, a 50-year-old, 112-pound black man, was killed by jail deputies. While enduring a psychiatric episode in jail, he was restrained in the prone position by 5 deputies for over 13 minutes, in which time he aspirated on his own vomit and went in and out of consciousness. And more recently, in August of 2019, Elijah McClain, a 23-year-old unarmed black man, died after a physical encounter with the Aurora Police Department while walking home one night. After initially not responding to police, McClain was tackled to the ground by officers, placed in a chokehold, and vomited. He was later given ketamine, suffered a heart attack on the way to the hospital, and ultimately died. And on the body camera recording, you can clearly hear Elijah say, "I can't breathe." These are the same words that we heard Eric Garner say over 6 years ago as he was put in a chokehold by an NYPD officer. They are the same words spoken by Mr. Floyd, who had a knee to his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It is past time that Congress banned chokeholds and other harmful police tactics that have led to far too many deaths. And that is why the Justice in Policing Act is so important. And I will say that I'm very encouraged by the broad base of support this legislation has received, including from the American Psychological Association. And with unanimous consent, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask to submit their statement of support into the record.
Without objection.
As you may know, or rather, I know the chairman's well aware, but as many, as I'm sure, are aware also, data on policing has been particularly deficient for quite some time. And as a result, it has hindered our understanding and our ability to hold law enforcement accountable in real time. We don't know this week how many times an officer used a taser or fired their weapon, or how many times individuals were injured while they were in police custody. This is basic information, and it's critical information to ensuring that such actions are regulated. And that brings me to my first question for Ms. Gupta, which is, how does the mostly volunteer system that we currently have on data collection fail to capture these data points? And second, how does requiring state and local law enforcement to report that data improve accountability?
Thank you, Congressman. It is a real shame that in 2020 we still do not have adequate data collection on use of force in this country. We've had to rely for several years on journalists putting this stuff together at the Washington Post and at the Guardian. The FBI has started to try to more systematically collect it, but this bill, the Justice in Policing Act, actually includes a requirement for states to report use of force data to the Justice Department, including the reason that force was used. Technical assistance grants are established in this bill to assist agencies that have fewer than 100 employees with compliance. That was often the reason that police agencies were not reporting on this, but it also requires the Attorney General to collect data on traffic stops, searches, uses of deadly force by federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies, and to disaggregate that data by race, ethnicity, and gender. There should be no reason why in the United States of America in 2020 we aren't able to collect that kind of data, and these incentives are going to be really important to making sure that we have that data, can learn from it, and can improve and change the culture of policing from it as well.
Thank you, Ms. Gupta, and your testimony certainly underscores why the Justice in Policing Act is so necessary. Thank you again to each of our witnesses for being here today and for testifying. And with that, I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman yields back.
Our great senators. Hi, Chuck. He used to love me when I was a Democrat, you know.